All right, welcome into the walkout on a day where the Cincinnati Bengals lose 48-10 to the Minnesota Vikings. I'm Paul Jr. here with Jay Morrison. I am in Minneapolis, and these two eyes got to witness the worst defeat in franchise history. How about that, Jay? What do you got for my song today?
Well, this is simple. There's a lot of directions I could have gone, but a one-word title, one of my favorite bands, Breaking Benjamin, simply failure. I mean, it doesn't matter what you're talking about. It was a failure today.
Plenty to talk about. Let's get to it. Let's hit that music.
It's the walkout with Paul and Jay, with red hot stories from post game, interviews, analysis, within the hour, right here at the Growler.
All right, welcome into the walkout presented by Joseph Toyota of Cincinnati. We mention it, the worst loss in franchise history. A lot for us to get into with this, Jay. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the historical nature. 5 turnovers, 2 of them returned for touchdowns by Isaiah Rodgers, who's enjoying his life at the podium today, I am sure, after one hell of a game. We have to talk about the decrepit state of the Bengals run game, which is, I think, at the core of a lot of problems that are happening here. We have to talk about this defense. How bad was it? We've got some injuries. We have the Joseph Toyota of Cincinnati drive of the game, and we'll take a spin forward. You're going to hear from Zach Taylor. You're going to hear from Ted Karras. We've got a bunch of stuff that we want to get into. Before we do that, Growl Pals, though, listen up. If you are tired of the dealership runaround this season, do yourself a favor. Head over and see my guy, longtime Growl Pal Kevin, and the team at Joseph Toyota of Cincinnati, at Joseph Toyota of Cincinnati. Playbook simple, upfront, honest, transparent, just like us. Every episode of the walkout, win or lose, you know what you get. Clear pricing from the start, real numbers on your trade, and a team that actually listens to what you need, not just what they want to sell you. So whether you're looking for a tough Tacoma, a RAV4, Toyota has a massive selection of new and pre-owned vehicles, all backed by a level of service that never turns it over 5 times. Joseph Toyota Cincinnati has rates as low as 1.75% for well-qualified buyers on qualifying vehicles. So if you're ready for a car buying experience that's smoother than thinking turning attention to the Reds instead of the Bengals is the way to go, head to Joseph Toyota of Cincinnati on Colerain Ave or online anytime at josephtoyota.com. You can always call my buddy and Growl Pal Kevin, 513-385-1800. Joseph Toyota, the team that puts honesty in the driver's seat. All right, let's speak honestly, Jay, about this game. 5 turnovers. Like I understand all the problems that you can have with the bigger picture execution. You turn it over 5 times. Like this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. I'll give some stats for you, Jay. I'm going to bring the first one. This century, I went and looked at all the games where the turnover margin was 5. The teams in the positive with 5 turnover margins are 108 and 3-1. Okay, they win. They win in blowouts. 86 of those are by 10 plus. Half of them are by 20 plus. Mm-hmm. This is what it looks like. You turn the ball over 5 times. You fumble it 3 times in 4 plays before halftime. You get your doors blown off. That's what happens. And it's ridiculous that they're out here fumbling all over the place. But that's it. That's the story of why today went the way it went. I have a hard time getting into too many other topics about today's game. We can talk about the bigger picture, but today's game is that. It's 5 turnovers. The end.
Yeah, sometimes turnovers are the O-line's not blocking anybody and the quarterback's getting pressured and guys aren't getting open. There's a lot of things that break down. It didn't feel like that was the case today. The fumbles, or first of all, I kind of take exception. I know it's factual to say it's the worst loss in franchise history, but I'm going with largest deficit or largest loss. I don't think this was that bad of a loss in the grand scheme of things, where it was so fluky with the turnovers. It's easy to, as Jake Browning say, just flush it and forget about it and chalk it up to an aberration. I don't think that was the worst thing. If they come in and they lose 10-3 and the offense can't do anything under Jake Browning, I think you have more questions. If it comes in and it's a close but a shootout loss, you start thinking about all the close ones last year. I think this is a game you can just look at and say, crazy stuff happened. Just forget about it. The fumbles. So Jamar Chase, he's in his 5th season. He has 3 career lost fumbles. Noah Fant, 6th season, 1 career lost fumble. Samaje Perine, 9 seasons, 4 career lost fumbles. These guys just don't fumble tip. You don't see that from them. And even the first interception from Jake Browning, he talked about, I need to throw that away. I thought that was a good play. I mean, Harrison Smith gets a finger on the ball to misdirect it. Otherwise, that's a completion and a first down. It was just a lot of little things added up in a hurry to a huge, huge loss.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing when you look back to the 2-minute warning. Okay, 17-3. They looked like they had maybe survived the storm here, and it was, let me tell you, loud as hell. Like, I mean, it was when you take Brian Flores' exotic blitzes, as loud as it is, you're on silent. You can't communicate any of the stuff after snap. Like, it is a disaster if you have to drop back and throw all game. And it was like that, but it looked like maybe they'd survived it a little bit. They're going down. They're at the 36-yard line, the 2-minute warning. They're driving, and they're going to go get a touchdown, they hope. And then they get the ball back after halftime. You're like, you can see a path out of that start and the pick six. And for 3 of the next 4 snaps to be fumbles, and you get another one going back the other way. The other thing that Zach Taylor pointed out after this game, it's not just even 5 turnovers. 5 turnovers in plus territory. They're in their side of the field every time. It's taking points off the board. It's giving them points. Like, it's just impossible for it. And I do think I'm with you in a way. Fumble luck is a thing. I mean, this was just, there is a bad luck element to guys that is not in their profile. It's not things that they do, and it can snowball. But you have no that's just it. That's it. Like, at that moment, you go from that point. It's 34-3 at halftime. You thought you were going to go down there and be within a score potentially going into the break and have all this new life. And it's 34-3 at halftime. It's just an insane snowball.
That's not even the worst halftime deficit of the day. The Saints were down 38-3 to the Seahawks at halftime just a little bit ago. So, but that was crazy. And I mean, it really did look like it was a short drive, but they finally didn't run it up the middle for no gain on first down. They threw a 9-yard pass to Noah Fant, and then Samaje, who was always in the 2 and the 4-minute offense, and he gets a first down with the rush. And yeah, you feel like we've seen this from this team before. Yes, it's been Burrow doing it, but get points right before the end of the half. You had even tweeted out this would be a good time to take a shot, and I didn't think they would for that very reason. I thought they were going to try to bleed as much clock as possible, go in the locker room, come out, get the ball first, try for that double dip. Who knows? Maybe they get it if Fant doesn't fumble. But it felt like, as bad as it started, it felt like, hey, they are still in this, and then
off it went. 31 points off turnovers in this game is where that ends up going, including the 2 that go back the other way. Unsustainable stuff. In terms of Jake Browning, I think there's still some decision-making stuff that you're living with him. Like you said, it wasn't maybe a terrible play, but there was a lot of trouble around Jake on the first interception. And the second one, I'm not totally sure what was happening there. But you've got 3 picks last week, 2 this week. He's can't be like that. Like, it's got to be cleaner from him in terms of a better understanding of when to get rid of the ball and throw it away. But I go back to, the other part of this is that he was in a lot of tough spots today in terms of playing from behind, playing behind the sticks, and everything else. That was so much of what went down. I want to fast forward on that note and talk about the run game. But before we do, I do want to make sure we get a shout out to BetMGM and Tom's Watch Bar, which will be hosting our next live show, which is going to be on Sunday, October 5th, before the Lions game. That is still a late window kickoff in the four o'clock window there, but we'll go at noon. And so we'll be up there for an hour, giving away tickets to the Bengals Steelers Thursday night game, and plenty of other prizes. And that we'll have the graders folks there, all the good stuff you're used to at our live show. So much fun we've been having at those. There's a big Tom's Watch Bar right down here in downtown Minnesota, and I know Bengals media crew was frequenting it and excited about what they were having. I was like, hey, there it is. You can see the Tom's Watch Bar. I was like, just felt like I was right back at home again. So really looking forward to that next live show. Make sure you come down there, get the parlay boost that only you can get during in person at our live shows. So we hope to see you down there before that game if you're coming to Bengals Lions. All right. I think when we talk about the big picture of this, the turnovers and the flukiness stuff, you can kind of get into like we did and say, okay, chalk it up, flush it. To me, the most concerning part of this and what we've now seen through 3 weeks, and it was obvious today, it has to be the run game issues. I mean, it is just a problem now. Chase Brown has 10 carries for 3 yards. This was the day they were hoping to lean on the run game, stay out of those 3rd and long where Flores is dialing up the exotic blitzes and the place is getting loud. They were in them all day because they could not get anything going on the ground. And this is an extension of what has been happening all season with Chase Brown, who now has 47 carries for 93 yards on the year. It's just not good enough. And it's a problem, Jay.
It is. I don't know. I think I have to go back and watch the film, but I don't know how much of that was Minnesota just selling out to stop the run, knowing that you got a backup quarterback in there, and that was probably going to be the Bengals' game plan to come in and run. But it would have been better to probably play off of that a little bit, do more play action, throw more screens. I know you had mentioned the under center play action pass where they got a decent gain, and even Tony Romo on the broadcast was calling for that. He's like, they got to throw it on first down. They can't just keep running Chase Brown up there. It's not working. 10 carries, 3 yards. That's a remarkable stat line against any defense, and for a guy that we know is better than that.
There's no doubt. Jay, do you got stats for me on that stat line with Chase Brown's?
I do. So I looked it up. How many guys have had at least 10 carries since the 1970 merger and had fewer than 3 yards rushing? And there's 21 of them. And the most recent time it happened was Saquon Barkley, who's rebounded nicely. That was in week 10 of 2019. Before that, week 7 of 2019, Joe Mixon with the Bengals had 10 carries for 2 yards in a 27-17 loss to the Jaguars. There's some good names on that. Keith Byers, Otis Anderson, Walter Payton, Hall of Famer. He had a game with 10 carries and no yards in his career. Reggie Bush. So again, it's a fluke. Maybe the game itself feels like a definite fluke. For Chase Brown to have 10 yards for 10 carries for 3 yards feels like a fluke, but maybe not based on what we've seen the first 2 weeks.
It's an extension of what they've been. They've been the worst running offense in football. And when they went and thought, okay, let's dedicate ourselves to it today and really focus on it. Cam Grandy's up there in 12 personnel more often. They're trying to get more movement up there. It's just not happening. Let's get into some of what we heard post-game about this topic. Asked him about the struggling run game.
I mean, when we're playing from behind, they're just chomping at the bit to tee off on us. In the pass rush and in the run game, there's a lot we have to prove in the run game. It's not pretty right now. We're not going to run from that. We've got to really identify where we're going to be in the run game, what we're going to hang our hat on, who we're going to run behind. I mean, there's a lot of that going on that we got to really sort out and identify our problems and be able to correct them on the run and during the course of the week.
I mean, that is suggestion of a possible change of personnel up there. We saw Jalen Rivers comes in the second half. Dalton Reisner had a calf, but it was sort of, he had a calf. Maybe he could have come back in. We decided not to do that. Get the young guy some reps, see what he looks like in there. If he can give you something as a run blocker, we know that has never really been a strong suit of Dalton's. And it's just, there's nothing they seem to be able to do to get it better. Here's a little bit from Ted Karras talking about run game and a little bit more on the bigger picture as well.
I said overall poor performance for everyone. Everyone's, we gotta look at it and be honest with ourselves, because that was not who we are.
Are you guys physical enough at the point of attack, especially in the run game right now?
Obviously not today. I think that's a really good front. Credit to them. Credit to B-Flow for scheming it up. But no, certainly not.
Zach said that you guys really got to figure out your identity in the run game and what that's going to be, and it could involve shaking some things up. I guess, is it disappointing that in week 3 you guys don't know what you want your identity in the run game to be?
I think you could say today was disappointing. I'm not disappointed in this team, but we have a lot of work to do if we want to get to where we want to get. And we sit at 2-1. Got killed in Minnesota. We're going to have to flush it, but after a hearty dose of honesty. So, we'll see where we go from here. We got to get ready to work.
Here's a hearty dose of honesty for you, Jay. They have an offensive line that can't run block. Okay, they have invested, and they have a bunch of guys whose specialty is pass protection, built to be Joe Burrow's pass protectors. That was understandable. It exposes them when they now are going to try to be something different or need them to be something different. And I don't know where that change comes from right now. I don't know if we're in the old rip it up. Is it time to rip up this game? I think they have to be considering everything, because whatever has happened in terms of what they were trying to be schematically with personnel from a run game perspective, is it something that it needs to look different around Jake Browning in a different way? Something has to change right now, because whatever they're trying to do is not working, and it's leaving them in terrible spots. And that's not just today. That has been the case the entirety of this season, with not being able to get more out of the run game.
Yeah, and I don't think I think it is more on the O-line than it is on Chase Brown. He's not even getting to holes. He's got guys in the backfield. Samaje is a little stronger. He can fight through some of those, and he did have some decent runs, but it's just another damning bullet point in the whole offseason. I mean, since the spring, Zach and Pitts, they were talking about leaning more into the run game and big things for Chase Brown this year. And they did what they did with the guard situation. It didn't seem like those two thoughts or directions meshed, and now they're paying for it. And I don't know exactly what he's talking about, who we're going to run behind, because the tackles and Ted, you just extended Ted. I don't see a change there. I don't know that they pull Dylan Fairchild. I mean, maybe the question is, even if Dalton Reisner's healthy, do we just make the switch to Jalen Rivers? That could be the what he was talking, because there's not a lot of other options at guard until Lucas Patrick gets back.
Yeah, no, and I think it's about Rivers. It's about tight end usage. Maybe it's who's in there in that regard. I don't. They need to do something in that way, because whatever they're doing right now isn't working. Is it more gun run? Is it wide zone? Is it like just? I think they've tried a little bit of everything, but it's obviously not working right now.
No.
All right, let's flip forward and talk a little bit about this defense, Jay. It wasn't great, obviously, but when you have 31 points off turnovers, 48. Well, they technically give up 34. That's not good either. But they were put into a ton of tough spots, and it seemed like they were on the field a lot. When you throw the turnovers in on top of everything else. I don't know. I didn't feel like it was 48-10 bad from this defense. I thought there were moments where it was okay. The second half, obviously, they just kind of moved right down the field. But after that first drive for Minnesota, it seemed like they settled in a little bit. I mean, they were forcing some 3-and-outs. They were actually getting some pressure besides Trey Hendrickson. Chris Jenkins with a sack. Miles Murphy had a couple of plays. It seemed like they were finding a little bit of success. And then, then you're just screwed when everything ends up, 34-3 because of the turnovers.
Yeah, I don't think this was as much about the scheme or the plan as it was the scoreboard. I mean, some wills were broken. There was not a lot of great effort on some tackling in the second half. Is one of those, like, let's just get out of here and move on to Denver. And I'm sure that's not going to sit well with Al, and that'll be one of the honesty things that Ted was talking about that they'll have to address. But I don't think people are going to see 48 and think, yeah, they just got lit up, and that wasn't the case. But anytime you're questioning the effort in a professional football game, that is a little bit of a problem. But it did look like the guys just kind of throwing shoulders, trying to knock guys to the ground instead of wrapping them up. And that just, they're human. It tends to happen when the game is totally out of hand from the second half on. You kind of thought you might see some of that.
Yeah. Not a great performance there. Let's one other thing on the defensive side of the ball. We saw some of Logan Wilson getting subbed in and out in a few spots. I'll have to go back through the rewatch and the snap count and take a closer look at it. But he said after the game, he called it position coach's decision, and he said that's what we're going with, I guess, to trying to keep me healthy. Were some of the things that Logan had to say about that when we saw some Barrett Carter in there. So we'll have to investigate a little bit more on that if we're seeing a crack around the way that they're viewing Logan Wilson right now, which is surprising. It felt like the first couple of weeks he looked good. He is nursing an injury, so perhaps two things really are playing hand in hand. But Logan, as you might imagine, didn't sound very stoked about that happening at all. And so we'll have to see if that continues, what that looks like going forward, but potentially some movement happening there at linebacker.
Yeah, we've seen them go over the top on conservative when it comes to injuries. DJ Turner going limited just because Cam Taylor was limited. Had Cam Taylor not had his injury, you may not have seen that from DJ Turner. Logan with the ankle injury in practice, that probably played into that decision quite a bit, I would imagine. And again, it's one of those games you're not going to win. If you had a full 90 like you do in preseason games, they would have pulled the starters. You just can't do that in the regular season. There's only so many guys dressed, but I think that played into it some. But like you said, if Logan wasn't happy about it, then you do worry about some ripple effect there.
Jay, do you have some happy stats? Can you do something to perk some people up? Because the Dobbers are down a little bit.
Would it be happy or delusional? Let's see.
Be delusional. I think you really need to lean into that motto now.
So I was curious how many teams have suffered a loss of 38 points or more in the regular season and rallied to make the playoffs. And it's happened 26 times. Well, it's happened 27 times. 26 teams did it. The 1970 Cowboys had 2 losses of 38 points or more and still made the playoffs. And the most recent team to do it was the Chiefs last year in Week 18, the game that knocked the Bengals out of the playoffs in Denver. They're on that list of 27. There's only 2 instances, the Chiefs last year and one other one, where it was a season finale where that kind of loss happened and the team still made the playoffs. So again, it's ugly. Nobody wants to go through it. Nobody wants to have to deal with the aftermath of it, but it is just 1 loss out of 17 games. And what this team does this week moving forward, I think will tell more about whether they can be talking about playoffs in December than what we saw for 3 hours today.
Absolutely. All right, let's shift forward now to the Joseph Toyota drive of the game. And Jay, I think for me, I go back to the Noah Fant fumble. Like, to me, that was the play that I keep seeing in my head that really changed everything because of the moment in time of the game where they were at trying to move the ball. That drive goes 3 plays, 14 yards. You have a fumble, a great play by Isaiah Rodgers. Like, credit him. That was a hell of a play to punch it out and then gets the scoop and score reward. Deserved all of it. But that's it. Like, that's such a game changer when you consider what they were already trying to fight back from. And then they couldn't even run the clock outright and like fumble again and give up a 62-yarder. And it's just an embarrassment at that point. But that I go back to that one as really the one where you felt like, well, they're cooked.
Yeah, that's what I wrote down too. I was going to say, can a 3-play drive be the drive of the game? But it was. But just the circumstances, the fact where you're trying to get the double dip and 2 minutes to go, the second defensive touchdown of the game, all of it added up. That's when he knew it was over.
Injury updates on this one. We had 3 primary injuries. Noah Fant ended up leaving with he was looked at for a concussion, did not return. Reisner, I mentioned the calf. Sounds like they thought maybe he could have come back. We will analyze more about that decision in terms of how much was calf and how much was just wanting to see Jalen on his right hand. So that'll be worth monitoring going forward as well. We saw some Taj Brooks in this one as he started to show up with P Ryan out. So we'll those are the 3 big ones, though. Nothing else major significant from this one, but that's where that's at.
Super ironic that Fant and Reisner and Samaje are the 3 that are hurt this week, and all 3 are former Broncos with a chance to go back and play their former team on Monday night.
That's right. That is what's next. Bengals Monday Night Football at Denver. So they'll be trying to put something new on tape for everybody to see. Not exactly an easy spot. You talk about your tough venues, having to go to Mile High in prime time now with Jake Browning against a really good Denver defense, needing to get back on track. I think it starts with figuring out what the hell comes next with that run game. And we'll be spending a lot of time this week checking it out. Make sure you check out Rewatch Reaction. Charlie and I will go through the tape and have that for you tomorrow. We'll dive into, I think we're going to probably end up diving into the run game quite a bit. So you're going to want to tune in for that as we go in through all of those runs. And then we have PD and J coming up this week, all the normal stuff that you come to expect, maybe pushed back a day in certain spots with the extra day this week. So just wait for it. It'll come up in your feed and we'll have you taken care of with all of our normal stuff. All right. Thanks to everybody for watching and for listening. It's been a great trip to Minneapolis. I'll update you more on that on Tuesday on PD and JJ. Right now, we got to give people what they want. Give them their sadness, end this so that they can go and pour themselves another drink. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.